Of course, last couple of weeks, Jason's been talking about the weather changing. A lot of things change when the weather changes. Your activities shift. Maybe what you're wearing shifts a little bit, and you get dressed a little warmer. And even what you drink might be shifting gears a little bit. Maybe ice cold lemonade sounds good in July or August, but ice cold lemonade when it's freezing cold outside might not be the greatest thing in the world. So our nutrition expert is with us right now, Sherry Clark, and she has some ideas of how to warm things up.
I do. And the thing is, when the weather turns cold, we do want something warmer. I mean, there's a physiological reason. There's also a psychological reason. It feels good to nestle up in your jammies with a hot mug of something. And a lot of times people will turn to coffee, and people will drink coffee all day long. And some people say, oh, it doesn't bother me, it doesn't affect my sleep. And I would beg to differ. I bet that if they did some analysis or went into the sleep lab, they'd discover that their sleep, their REM, isn't as consistent as they want. So one way to try that is to experiment and to change things up. So I wanted to talk about hot beverages today, some alternatives to things other than coffee that we can drink that are fun. Okay, so tea is a natural thing that most people think of right away. So there's a lot of different ways of doing tea, and one way is to buy tea loose. That's the way that most gourmets or people
like the gong fu tea type people.
Exactly, and I love gong fu. They're very helpful and they're really good. If you know nothing about tea, go in there and say, I know nothing about tea, and they'll give you a crash course.
Yep, over in the East Village. They're just nice people. Go say hi.
They are great. So go in and get some loose tea there, and then what you can do, you could either have a tea kettle and make a whole big pot of it, or one of the things I like to do is use this little gizmo here. The end twists off, and you just put the loose tea in there, screw it back on, insert it into the hot water, and then it can go here.
It has a little holder there too.
And yes, it's got a holder. The holes in there will let the tea infuse. That's the correct term for letting the tea.
I've never seen anything like. I've seen tea, obviously holders, but I've never seen it like that.
I love this thing. Then you can stir it in there.
It can be like a stir stick too.
It's very neat, and most of the time, most teas can be infused a second time, so they're a good value. So the center beverage that you have there is actually a tea, and while you taste that, I'm going to tell you, you don't have to buy loose tea, because some people are intimidated by that. They don't want to go into the store, they don't want to drag it around, so they want to do tea bags because it's more convenient. You don't have to buy an apparatus, you can just simply use a bag.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't that fabulous?
Oh,
and that is called Bengal Spice. It's by Celestial Seasonings.
You had me get some
and
of
I've
this.
had you get some of that.
Yeah, that's good.
And
what's it good for then if you made Jason drink it?
It's just a nice, what it is, it's a replacement for sweets. It's got a nice sweet flavor without any sugar. It's a zero
calorie. It kind of takes that maybe hankering away a little bit.
And then you have a cinnamon stick in the bottom,
I put a cinnamon
which
stick.
does jump out at you.
Yes, exactly. So the cinnamon flavor comes through, that ramps that up. You can leave that out if you want. And then the orange slice I put on, I'm a big believer in garnishes, about making a ceremony out of this. If you're going to have a cup of tea, you don't just plunk a bag in and sit down and really enjoy it. And that makes a really nice addition to the, you can dress him up.
You knew he was going to do that. He's a monster for Halloween.
He definitely is, most of the time. So tea bags are another alternative. They're really convenient. Now let's remember this. In addition to being warm and doing that whole grounding thing, teas also serve a medicinal purposes in many situations. So we've all heard about turmeric and how the things that the ingredient in curry is an anti-inflammatory. It's good when you're exercising. It helps your muscles feel a little
less stiff. That's how you say it, turmeric?
Turmeric.
Okay, I've always called it turmeric.
Some people say turmeric, some people say turmeric. I think it's potato. You say what you want, just try it. And so this is a nice handy way of testing that. That would be one I would recommend. I also am a firm believer in peppermint tea. Luscious, delicious, good for soothing an upset stomach. It's really good for after dinner if you've eaten too much or whatever. That's a good option. Another one, you were kidding me before we came on, Smooth Move tea is exactly what you would think. Ooh. It's a laxative tea. It is not an explosive producing laxative.
We could drink it before the show.
You could drink it before the show. Correct. It's to be delicate with this topic. You would not embarrass yourself if that were something that you drank and then you wouldn't be housebound. So remember that there are lots of different.
What does chocolate tea taste like? Is that like a hot chocolate?
It doesn't taste like a hot chocolate. I won't kid you. No, it's okay. But if you're drinking this, you've got to purpose.
But there's options, you're saying, of the different kinds of treat. What's the kind you recommended once, and say you go out on a weekend and have a little too much to drink?
You're
or have
overserved.
You're overserved.
Yeah.
And you want to
Dandelion would be good for that.
Dandelion, okay.
Burdock tea, and most herbal or ginger tea would be nice because it would settle your stomach. It depends on what your ailment is.
And these traditional medicinals, this one here, this is one, Jackie, we're familiar with because throat coat is made by these people too. And if you ever have a sore throat, boy, does that work.
Yep, and it's really good for people in broadcasting because
Right.
you can't have that whole thing going on. So that's a great alternative. Now we've talked about loose leaf teas and teas that are. You think about what a tea looks like. It looks like dried up leaves.
Right.
There's another kind of tea, the green tea, the very, very green tea that you're drinking in the clear glass. That is called matcha.
Matcha?
And I brought some matcha tea that we can take a look at if you can get in on that. Matcha tea is a powdered tea, and it's very, very fine and very ground, powdery looking substance. And this is what it looks like, and you can see
It has an interesting odor.
kind of talc.
I've never tasted that taste before.
It's almost smells like chocolate.
Yeah.
You think it
A little
smells like
bit.
chocolate?
I don't think
bit.
it smells like chocolate, but then I'm not drinking it. So what I did was I made a latte out of it. Now I used hemp seeds, a little bit of vanilla, and a little bit of honey. You're kind of giving me a face, maybe.
No, I like it.
I feel like it tastes like soybeans or peas or
No,
something.
I like it. Honestly, I do.
Like
It's got an earthier taste to
Okay.
it. For some, it's an acquired taste. I made it into a latte because I think it personally, it needs the
Here, Jason,
groundingness.
do you like it? There you go.
this isn't my favorite, but why would I be drinking this? Is there benefits?
Who
There are
says no?
benefits to it. It's got a little bit of caffeine, but it's not that. You know when you drink coffee sometimes and you get this spiky little rush and you're just
Right.
like,
Right.
"Blah!"
Right.
It's a lot more even.
Even keel.
And
Okay.
it also, remember this, it's ground up leaves, so you're actually ingesting the tea. When you drink a tea, the leaves stay in here. All you're drinking is the water. When you're drinking matcha tea,
You're actually eating
the whole thing.
Exactly. So you're consuming it. So that's
Okay.
one other option. So now let's look at the last cup. I saved the best till last. Chocolate, hot chocolate.
Yeah.
So a lot of people drink hot chocolate, and a lot of people go to the store and they'll buy the national brand and whatnot, and they'll add sugar and they'll put it in milk and whatnot. And I'm here to tell you there's other ways.
Okay.
So the other way is right in there. The other way is I made some I made some cashew milk from scratch, which is the easiest milk in the world to make because you don't have to strain it. Then I use a really high quality chocolate powder. I don't use the national brands that have added sugar and added milk solids. This is just simply organic cacao, and this isn't the only brand in town. You can get with the kinds that you like, but no additives is the whole idea. And then I put in a little bit of sweetener. In your case, I put in just a tiny dab of maple syrup. I could have used stevia if I wanted to use a little less sweetener.
Okay.
And I think it's perfectly, fabulously wonderful.
Really good.
Now, we're coming up on trick or treat. I know a lot of parents will take their hot beverages around while the kids are at the door and whatnot in their little
This is
mug.
really good.
If you wanted to enhance your hot chocolate,
Hello.
you can add this, and I'll let you add your own. I got that at Vom Foss. It's a nut chocolate, and it just adds a
nut
little bit
chocolate.
of a beautiful. It's a chocolate
It's an
enhancement.
interesting smell too. Yeah.
It adds a little bit of extra oomph to the hot chocolate.
So what is this? This is
it's a liqueur.
It is a liqueur.
And here's my, if you take away nothing else from this whole exercise, remember that the highest quality ingredients that you use.
Go easy there, Rummy.
I should have brought the big one, right?
The half gallon.
The highest quality ingredients you use are going to, or the quality of ingredients that you use are going to affect what it is that you end up with as a net result. Thanks for staying with me, Lou.
No, I understand. No, there is a difference. There
There's a
truly is
big difference. It does. And
that's
so
good.
if you're going to put a little bit of a oomph into your hot chocolate, do good stuff. Don't just pour in a whole bunch of cheap schnapps. Get some good stuff.
This might be the best hot chocolate I've ever had.
thought you would like
Even
that.
before the liqueur, seriously. This is
And
really
real
No,
quick,
this is very good, and it takes away all that excess sugar, things like that.
and real quick, we have some ideas in case you don't want to hand out candy.
Yes, that's the last thing I want to say today is I know we give away the candies to the kids and the chocolates and that kind of thing, and the kids all love that. And I don't want anybody to slash my tires or TP my yard, but there are options,
gonna
and the
do on
other
Halloween,
options
though?
would include toys. So we can
It's like
do
Phoenix inexpensive toy, and the things that
are
kids are going to have these for more than
fun.
5 minutes.
Exactly. And here,
cute.
look at these things.
What a cute idea.
I think they're fabulous. And there's all kinds of, there's
And where did
Look
you
at
get these trinkets from?
you can buy them at the hobby stores and whatnot, Hobby Lobby. I got this one online at Oriental Trading. But what
Oh, that's a good place too. Yeah, Dollar Store has these too.
Yes.
Okay, so
Awesome
get
things.
some little trinkets.
And here's my suggestion: buy them this year, the day after Halloween, and put them away for next year. It'll be inexpensive, and
Smart.
it's just the way to go.
All
Don't
right.
give all
Smart,
that
smart,
candy.
Here's where we get more information about what Sherry does, fork-road.com. She answers questions too. You're really good at answering questions. You're
I
really
love
good
answering
Getting back
questions.
to people too.
Yes,
so. Wonderful.
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you betcha.
Cheers, everyone.